I know that I'm not the only person choosing.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Coaches Workshop. Stop getting ready and start getting started. I'm John Strasser. I'm the creator of Rebel Against Yourself, as well as the Insight Coaching Academy. And I have with me, who are you?
I'm Sara Joy Madsen, creator, founder of Finding Joy Coaching. I am a graduate of the Insight Coaching Academy, a certified coach, over 50 hours of coaching through the Academy.
Nice.
And I am a co-leader of the Academy starting in February.
Yes. So, Sara, what are we talking about today in this Coaches Workshop?
Well, I'm super duper in love with this idea, John, of us like coming on here as coaches and bringing sort of the truth of coaching out into the world. So if you're even curious about coaching or you're a coach that's struggling, this is such an amazing opportunity for us to workshop what insight coaching really means. Like, how do we really get to the meat and the heart and the belief system behind any topic that's presented to us as coaches, right? So my idea is to bring up some topics that kind of keep bubbling up with my own clients, some clients that I'm working with now, and some people that I'm having, powerful coaching experiences with to enroll my clients. And one topic that continues to keep coming up is this idea of releasing themselves from a breakup, but hanging on so tightly, thinking that maybe if I just interject myself back into this person's life, I could change them somehow and they'll come back to me and we'll be in love again. And what a beautiful idea. But let's really break that down.
That always works. I mean,
right? Changing other people.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I've had tremendous success with that. Yeah. I'm going to make a video explaining all the success I've had with that. That video will be approximately 15 seconds long.
Yeah.
Now, let me interject here real quick and just, I want to point out to you, Sara, as well as anybody watching this, that the reason why my face is so red and bloated is because for breakfast, I actually had 12 tomatoes. So made a big mistake today, but hopefully I'll learn from that mistake. But keep going, Sara.
12 tomatoes while running on an elliptical. Right?
What a mess it was. And you know what? I know I'll find a new gym because I'm not allowed to go back to that one. So.
Yeah, no more tomatoes. What else? What else about this amazing topic?
Yeah.
So let's talk about it specifically as the way that it was presented to me is this person was, leaving the love of their life, or he was walking away from her. She knew in her heart that they were supposed to be together, right? But he was a little trepidatious about her past and some, commitments that she had made that he doesn't think. He is very worried about what other people think. So he's leaving them, right? And she's like, no. I know that it works and I can change his mind if I just show him how much I love him. If I just demonstrate. And so she was sending him text messages and emails and calling, and nothing was being reciprocated. But I got to tell you, what she was really stuck on is really letting go of the fact that that wasn't working for her. She still believed, John, that more of this communication was going to get him to come back.
Yeah.
And kind of refused to hear that it was actually really pushing him away.
Yeah.
So what's really going on there, right?
That's right. I mean, that's what I was just thinking. And let me just say to anybody watching this that we didn't rehearse this or prepare. As a matter of fact, we don't know what we're going to talk about except the topic. But that's what was my question. And with Insight Coaching, what we do is we begin with the premise that all life advancement starts with an exploration into what's true. So what's really true here with this client? And Sara said it. What's the deeper issue here? And there's lots of deeper issues to explore. What came to me is what's the challenge behind the challenge that everyone can relate with. And to me, it's believing what's not true or believing the lie that we can change people. And it's also something interesting to think about, which again just came to me. It's also believing the lie that we aren't already whole and complete, that somehow our happiness resides outside of us. And that's a lie that most of us all bought into. And when you're in a relationship where you feel like this guy or this girl is what we need to make us happy, then we bought into that lie. So what do you get?
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely what resonates with me. It's that without him, she is inadequate. She is not enough. He is there to complete her. And by her actually not believing that she's whole, I believe that energetically, she's actually pushed him away. Right?
Yeah,
because we are really very attracted to people who are feeling and exuding their wholeness and their own self-worth. And so I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in some ways that we push people away by not feeling our whole nature. And I think it's another great topic is that she really truly believes in this belief system that she's currently hanging on to, that she even has an iota of power to change his mind. She is that powerful that she could change his mind.
Yeah. Gosh, I love what you're saying. There's so much here. It's awesome. And I love coaching, and I love this kind of coaching we do. But
so when you're in this moment with a client, I'm going to interject because this is coming to me.
Yeah.
And it's important for those that are watching us do this, is like when they're presented with this as a coach, what do you do when, even if you got stuck on this for a moment, like, how do you handle that moment when they're like, no, I, in my heart, believe that if I can change his mind as long as he just reads my texts and calls me, and it's like, what do you do with her, with him, with them when they present that to you? Like, what's a great, powerful tool as a coach?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we do, something we talk about all the time, is we use Byron Katie's 4 questions. It's this process of inquiry based on this idea that most of what we think is not true. And what's interesting about thought is that our mind's job, and I want you to really think about this for a second, not necessarily you, Sarah, but anybody watching this, but our mind's job, the job of our mind, is to prove that what we've been thinking is true. And so when we get a thought that if, like in this case, with this person, that I can change this guy, I can make this guy like me at some point, this guy will think differently. And once we believe that, we think that, our mind goes to work to prove, and we get lots of additional ideas that convince us to keep moving in that direction. So something that Byron Katie does is she asks 4 questions. The first question is that true? So we might ask this person, you might have asked this client, you thinking that this guy will come back to you and that you can change this guy, is that true? Is that true? And the answer might be yes, it might be maybe, it might be no. But the next question we ask, and this is a powerful self-coaching tool as well, and something that we can use for ourselves in our own life. But the next question is, can you know absolutely that it's true? And probably the answer to that is no. There's no way that you can know absolutely this guy's going to come back. And then the next question is, how do you react when you believe that thought? How do you react when you believe that you can convince this guy at some point to come back to you? And probably how she reacts is that she continues to suffer. She continues to hold on. She continues to believe the lie that at some point that this guy's going to come back to her. And she does what you suggested, Sarah, which is she probably further pushes him away, right? There's so many things that she does as a result of believing this. And then the last question is, who would you be without that thought? Who would you be without the thought that this guy is going to change, or that you can change this guy? And the answer usually is free, peaceful, happy, present, right? And then the last thing we'll sometimes do, as insight coaches, and using this specific process, is we'll ask the client to do the opposite, to think the opposite thought. So the thought is, this guy, I'm going to convince this guy to change and to come back to me. And then it's like, well, somehow I'll never convince this guy to change and come back to me. And then from that place, right, from that place of truth, that realization, an energy shifts within you, and you're able to take better actions. In the case of her, probably let go, become more empowered, and focus on oneself and making oneself happy. So what do you get from that? I just talked a lot, Sarah, so I've stolen all the time. As a matter of fact, just give me 10 more minutes, and then we're going to finish the video. You'll talk, Sarah, on the next video we make next month.
No, we can drop the mic. You handled that really, really well. I think a really important piece here is what happens with the client, what happens with the apprentice, the student sitting across from you or listening to you, is they actually now have a hand in creating their own solution. through this process.
Yeah.
Right? I could tell her until my face was blue, like, you cannot change anyone else. You can only have power over yourself. By acting this way energetically, you're actually pushing them away. I could say it all, and all of those things have their own truths to them, but she's just going to sit back and continue to tap into her current belief system and say, no, I fully believe that he's the only person in the world that can make me whole. Without him, I'll never find anyone else. That reaffirmation of like, then I must have him, or I'm abandoned, unloved, and ultimately dead. Right. But when you use this powerful, very Socratic method approach to probing questions and getting deep and going on the rant, like you said before, it's like, who are you without this thought and who are you with it? And you go on that rant and you really feel in all your senses what that's like. They start to create the solution for themselves. That energetic shift that happens within them, you've held the space and guided them to the insight. They came to their own solution. They came to their own realization that no, they cannot change him. And actually, they need to get whole with themselves. And there are an infinite amount of opportunities out there in the world to meet who we need to meet, right? There's a reason this person's not in their lives. So I think what I'm trying to come over the top and say is that when you don't have your own hand in the solution of your problems, you're generally not going to integrate those and make lasting changes. And this type of coaching, this very powerful depth insight coaching, helps them present their own solutions to themselves and live into them, which is really incredible. And this is when you really truly see people transform.
Yeah, you're saying it exactly right. I mean, and one of the truths I think too is that and this just came to me, we tend to be defiant. I think we, as the part of the human condition is defiance. And so if my coach comes to me and says, you know what, you're never going to change this guy or change this girl, then my reaction is like, oh yeah, well, watch this. And I'm going to set out, I'll spend the rest of my natural life trying to change this person, but I'm never, like, I don't hold up the white flag, man. I don't give up for nothing. Right. And you're bringing up this process of questions and powerful coaching and such. And one of the things we do as insight coaches is we ask powerful questions, because that's really what brings our clients to this place of insight. So another question we could ask this client at this point, when we've taken them through this process of inquiry, is we could ask, what could you do instead? Rather than focusing on how this guy is going to change, once you realize maybe that he won't change, or at least that it's not serving you. You might still think that he could change, but when you get asked that question, who would you be without thinking that thought that he's going to change? You're going to be more peaceful, more happy, more present. Once you're at that place, it's like, what can you do now? What can you do instead? And it's different than saying, here's what you need to do instead, and then the client will say, well, yeah, I guess I could do this. I could focus on myself. Maybe I could stop trying to change him and start focusing on something that I'd like to create, or something I'd like to accomplish, or doing something that I love. And then we'll ask, what else? Very, very powerful coaching question. What else? Can you tell me more? And from that place, we go deeper and deeper. We take our clients deeper and deeper and into a better solution of their own creation. Because as you and I have talked about, Sarah, clients, and you said this, but I'm going to say it differently. Clients don't do well with solutions they've had no part in creating. That's just how it is. That's the truth of coaching and this kind of coaching. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's beautiful.
Okay.
And you help people stop getting ready to live the rest of their life without this person or this human. They have to stay in the problem. They stay stuck in the hope. Hope is a beggar. Hope is actually a pretty shitty emotion sometimes, because it just keeps you right there in the problem, and you're not thinking about how you're going to get out. You're hoping it changes back to the way you wanted it to be so you can work backwards. No more of that.
Right.
So stop getting ready and start getting started. Start moving on. I loved what you used the term create. Go create something. Go create this new life for yourself. Create a new connection with yourself, and evaluating your standards of, there's and your belief systems. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? We're going to wrap this up in just a minute, but Sarah, you're so good at this. Now you're a natural. This is our first video together, but I love how just now you transitioned into a close where we want to bring back up the theme of this, this series of videos with this, what we're doing with this idea of stop getting ready and start getting started, right? You kind of seamlessly brought that in. And I think the ultimate goal is to be happy. You know, it's to experience joy, right? Your platform is finding joy. It's all about getting to this place of greater joy. And we believe the lie that this person, that this relationship, that this goal, that this condition, you know, that whatever it is outside of us, that is going to bring us the well-being that in reality we already have. And so the idea is stop getting ready to feel good, to feel happy, to experience joy, and start freaking experiencing it now. And if there's something in your life, if there's a relationship or a guy in your life, right, like in this case, that's not working, that's not bringing you joy, that's bringing you angst and frustration and a willingness to try to insert your will when really there's a greater good. You know, there's a, like Michael Neal says, there's an in the moment responsive intelligence within us that is constantly guiding us, that we're constantly relying on. Yet when something big happens or something that we perceive as big, we step outside of that in the moment responsiveness and we try to take charge ourselves. And I think it's about letting go. And the first step, though, as you know, Sarah, as people probably watching this, most of them know, is awareness. Right? It's all about awareness. You smiling big, man. What's up? Are we done?
Dude, it is awareness. Yeah. It's just funny what we kind of blow up the coaching world a little bit when we do stuff like this, because it is so simple. It is back to the basics. It's slow it down, right? And just go back to the simplicity of when things slow down, you have the ability to capture the awareness, right? You have the ability to sort of catch the patterns. But when you're like this and you're outside of using that, you know, that inner intuition and the universe working through you, you're like this, you can't hear it. But when you slow it down and you really get to the truth of it all, it is that, being aware of this. And then you go, oh, I'm actually all powerful and I'm a creator and I don't need actually.
Yes. Well, God, I love that you said blow up the coaching world. And I imagine like a nuclear bomb, you know, and I want to do
only in a great way, only in the best way.
We want to expose, I think, the truth around what works in terms of powerful one-on-one coaching. And at the same time, we want to expose what works with self-coaching. Because if you're not a coach, if you don't have interest in becoming a coach, you can still learn so much from coaching. And at the same time, we want to expose people to the fact that if you want to become a coach, if you want to learn how to coach by coaching and learn how to coach by coaching right away, then we're going to have a link within the description of this video that will connect you with us further so you could see about potentially being in our Insight Coaching Academy and taking on an apprenticeship. So we'll talk more about that. But Sarah, I think we crushed it. I think we crushed on this first video. And how much time did we spend preparing? None. And
we just got started.
And how perfect is it? It's not
perfect,
but done is better than, well, it's perfect in the sense that it's done, but
it's done.
We didn't spend 3 years putting this video together. We spent as much time as we've been on it, right? We took action regardless of what our mind, which might have told us that we're not ready. Let's do it next week after we've thought about it more. We took action regardless of what our mind says. Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for this, Sarah. I love what we're doing already.
Yeah.
Bye.